In the 7th year of marriage, Fu Exant cheated on his wife, suffering from no direct evidence to net. I forced myself to endure the nausea to approach the mistress, and Ran was wearing the same necklace as mine. She happily said it was a Valentine's Day gift from her boyfriend. Wow, my husband has a girlfriend outside. After walking through the glittering lobby of the water cloud room, I followed the signs and found a row of lockers. Looking at the bracelet marked with the number 18 in my hand, an inexplicable panic attacked me and pressed me a little breathless. With 2 drops of the locker door popped open, the first thing I saw was 2 sets of familiar change of clothes. Underneath the clothes vaguely exposed the corner of the box. Ruffling the clothes, an open box of condoms revealed itself. A wave of nausea welled up in my stomach, and I flung my bracelet to the floor, picking at the sink to keep driving. Last night Fu Exant once again returned late. The reason is that the company temporarily held a high-level meeting. He handed me a bouquet of flowers when he walked in the door, and tenderly kissed my forehead to express his apology. When I hung up the suit jacket he took off while he was taking a shower, I accidentally shook off this bracelet. The bracelet had the words Water Cloud Room on it, and a phone search showed it to be the most luxurious bathing center in the city. When did he go there? He never mentioned it to me. Maybe he just went with friends to recreation, but I cannot tolerate half a thorn in the eye. As long as there is concealment is tantamount to deception. I hid my bracelet, and at night, when Fu Exant was asleep, I brought his cell phone into the toilet and opened it. The password was always my birthday. He had told me it. As I expected, his phone was clean. There were no abnormalities in the chat software, photo albums, or browser, and even the screensaver used a picture of me. There was a moment of fluke in my heart until I stood in front of this locker. The facts are in front of us. After the 7th year of marriage, Fu Exant cheated on me. At the wedding, in front of a crowd of friends and family, I said, Fu Exant, from today onwards you have to have the realization that I am not a woman to be messed with, and that the person I love the most in my marriage will always be myself first, and then you. Fu Exant got down on one knee and promised me, Summer Enterprise, I will never fail you in this life. I will love you more than you love yourself. This statement drew a roar of approval from the audience, and I had believed it. I called a friend who worked in a law firm and asked what I could do to get Fu Exant to leave the house. A clean break is not legally realistic, but as long as you get legal evidence that this son of a bitch is cheating on you, I'm confident that I can help you get the property distribution to at least 8-2. The evidence must be taken in public under the intimate photos or recording video, room records, chat records, recording screen, transfer records, or scumman personally admitted to the recordings can be. You must pay attention to the legality of the forensics. Be careful to be bitten by the back of the mouth. Lin also told me a case. A wife took people to the hotel to catch adultery, beat up the dog man and woman. The result was claimed 100,000 medical expenses and into the bureau squatting for 7 days. Because it was forced to break into the hotel to violate the privacy of others, the video taken became invalid evidence. Is this marriage? It protects property, not love. It doesn't take much for someone who betrays their marriage vows to have a clean slate in marriage law. Hanging up the phone, in the mirror was a pale, tearful woman. I'm a mess in this condition. The cold water kept slapping towards my face as I forced myself to calm down quickly. I wasn't crying over the loss of my husband's love. Using another person's love as a support for life is something only a stupid woman would do. Living without Fu Xin is like a fish without a bicycle. It's no big deal. I'm just mourning my past self who gave her heart but was cheated and trampled on. And the most important thing now is to make the scum get what he deserves. Not only do I want him to be clean, but I also want to make him lose his reputation. Getting evidence of Fu Exant cheating is not simple. He is already meticulous in dealing with people, but I firmly believe that as long as something has been done, there will be traces. Wiping away the tears and replacing the foundation and lipstick, an exquisite woman reappeared in the mirror. I returned to the locker and continued rummaging for useful clues. I accidentally found a small ball of paper in the corner and unfolded it to see a small ticket. Whole body essential oil SPA 30 times package. Technician number 18, price yen 21888. Hello, I'd like to have a full body oil spa. When the receptionist asked me if I had a specific technician, I ordered number 18 without hesitation and returned the bracelet to the receptionist. I said that I found it on the floor to avoid alerting people. I entered a gorgeous room and waited for a few moments for a girl to push the door open. Hello, Miss Xia. I'm technician in RAN number 18. I'll be serving you for the next 2 hours. The girl looked to be in her early 20s. Her eyebrows were gentle and quiet, and she spoke in a soft voice. I got a chill when I heard it. The girl signaled me to lie down and put her hands on my shoulders. Is this how she also massaged Fu Xen? What else did these hands do besides massage? The nausea that flooded my stomach made me reluctant to make the connection. I temporarily changed my mind and swapped the spa for a foot bath. The girl bent down and pressed my feet carefully. A necklace slipped out from inside her collar and swayed as she moved. The style of the necklace was very nice, exactly the same as the one Fu Xen gave me on our anniversary. Seeing the name tag pinned to the girl's dress, I tried to pretend to make small talk. And Ran, you look like you're at college age, here for a part-time job? No, Miss Xia, I graduated from high school and came out to work part-time. Why don't you continue your studies? My family can't afford to send me to college. Looking at her innocent face, I couldn't help but feel a sense of humor. The necklace around your neck should be enough to pay for 1 semester's tuition. The wages here seem to be quite high. She subconsciously looked down at the necklace and asked in surprise, this shouldn't be that expensive. I have the exact same necklace. It's the brand's new spring collection. And this necklace is hanging around my neck, only blocked by the collar. It's a Valentine's Day gift from my boyfriend. It's an honor to have the same necklace as Miss Xia. Boyfriend? Xia Enterprise, your husband even has a girlfriend. Looks like your boyfriend treats you quite well. My necklace is still a gift from my ex-husband. Ex-husband? Miss Xia is divorced, I said with a smile. He cheated on her within the marriage and then died in a car accident. And Ran suddenly laughed, then apologized repeatedly. I'm sorry, Miss Xia, I should express my condolences, but it doesn't seem like something to be sad about to me. She winked mischievously at me, causing me to be stunned for a moment. She smiled with the sweetness and cuteness of a teenage girl, and it was hard to link it to the mistress I remembered. But the rest of the conversation didn't go too well, and Ran didn't seem to want to talk much about her boyfriend. I was tempted to lift the foot wash in front of me over Ran, but even more so, I wanted to pour it down Fu Xen's throat. It's never the third party that destroys a marriage. It's the man who can't control his lower half. As for the third party, all she got was a piece of trash, not a love. Whether Ran knows 3 is a third, or she is deceived like me, I have to clarify this matter. After the massage, I added Ran's WeChat and said I'd look for her next time I came. Her WeChat is a couple avatar, and she sent me a cute emoticon of a puppy expressing thanks. This expression made me feel familiar. One day Fu Xen suddenly fell in love with sending this expression, and his usual brief and concise chat style is particularly out of line. I also, because of this matter, said he cucumber brush green paint pretend young. It turns out that everything is traceable. And Ran's circle of friends does not have a photo of her and Fu Xen together, but she posted a photo of a necklace on Valentine's Day. The photo only showed a man's hand holding the necklace. I instantly recognized that it was Fu Xen's hand. On Valentine's Day, I was in the hospital for an emergency surgery, and at the same time Fu Xen happened to be on a business trip to a neighboring city. This was the first time we didn't spend Valentine's Day together. It turned out that I was the only one who really worked overtime. Out of the water cloud room, I took off the necklace on the neck, casually placed in a beggar's bowl on the side of the road. Men can be relied on, pigs can get up trees. Love is gone. I have to protect the bread in my hand, or first return to the hospital duty. I am the hospital cardiology youngest deputy chief physician. We all say I have a bright future, but the workload is also really quite a lot. After I finished 2 surgeries in a row, I already kind of don't want to play this detective game anymore. And Rand seemed like a simple little girl, and I wanted to just ask her out for a showdown. Find out if she was a victim or just a woman who loved to pick up trash. But I didn't expect to see her again so soon. I was on emergency shift at night when I got a call for an ambulance. A patient with a myocardial infarction was about to arrive. As soon as the stretcher entered the hospital, it was rushed forward, and I was kneeling over the patient doing resuscitation. The family member stumbling and running behind the stretcher was in Ran. We were both stunned for a moment when we saw each other's faces, and then she cried and begged me to save her mom. She was wearing slippers on one foot, the other was bare. Before entering the rescue room, I could not help but alternately think of the necklace around Ran's neck and her bare feet. Luckily, the resuscitation went well, and her mom survived for the time being, only for the time being. Change into these shoes. I haven't had a chance to wear my new ones yet. I handed the shoes and a cup of coffee to Ran, who had been guarding the glass door of the ICU looking in. 6 months ago, Ran's mother found a tumor in her heart, and after removing it, chemotherapy didn't work well. The only treatment option that could extend her life now was a heart transplant. She's at home waiting for a heart donor, but today her condition suddenly deteriorated further. And as my hospital is an authority in heart transplants, and Ran's mother was transferred to be hospitalized and continues to wait for a heart source, I became Ran's mother's attending physician by mistake. And Ran wiped her face haphazardly and pulled a smile at me. Thank you, Ms. Xia. No, I should call you Dr. Xia now. There's no need for a night watch in the ICU ward. Auntie's condition has stabilized for now. She won't be able to wake up so soon. You can go back first to take a shower and rest. If you don't feel comfortable, you can call other friends and family to rotate. There's only me and my mom in our house. No friends or family. And Ran's tears hit the ground in big drops. That's why I must save my mom's life. Otherwise, I won't have a home anymore. Dr. Xia, please, you must help me if my mom is gone. I don't know how I can live alone. She even wanted to kneel down for me. I hurriedly helped her up, but she hugged me and cried bitterly in my arms. I've been a doctor for 5 years now, and I've seen too many images of life and death, but I still take pity on every poor person who's been stricken by an illness, and I just can't afford to push her away at this moment. I'm sorry, Dr. Xia, I was a bit rude. When Ran's emotions calmed down, she spoke a little shyly and said, Thank you for saving my mom. Thank you for your shoes. Thank you for your kindness. I will definitely repay you for this favor. I replied with mixed feelings, No need to thank you. I just did what I had to do. And Ran then received a phone call. It's okay. You go and get busy. I can handle it. Seeing my probing eyes, and Ran said it was a call from her boyfriend. Originally, he said he'd come to keep me company, but he's got a job and can't make it. Fu Xin dares to come over, but if he meets me, he'll have nothing to say. And Ran said sadly, I've known him for half a year now, and he's been so busy that he doesn't have time to fall in love. I can count on one hand the number of times we've gone out on dates together. That's why he broke up with his ex-girlfriend. Oh, so I'm Fu Xin's ex-girlfriend. At the moment wishing I was really married and widowed. This scumbag is obviously cheating on both ends of the spectrum. He's just using Ran as a long-term fuck buddy, not a girlfriend. I want to say to the ignorant little girl in front of me, you've been tripped. Your boyfriend also has a wife who has been married for 7 years, and she is standing in front of you at this very moment. How about the two of us form a victims alliance to net him out? But he lent me the money for mom's surgery before, and he's also very good to me, like you, a good person. And Ran said with a faint smile as she touched the necklace around her neck. My throat was a little dry and I couldn't speak. Looking up, I could see Ran's mother lying in the ICU, covered in tubes. And then I remembered that half of this money Fu Xian gave out was mine. Dr. Xia, let me help you with a massage. I don't know anything else except massage. Before I could react, and Ran held me down on the chair and squeezed my shoulders. In my mind, I imagined the image of her squeezing Fu Xian's shoulders again, and my body stiffened a little unconsciously. And Ran suddenly stopped her movements and asked softly, Dr. Xia, do you think I'm dirty? I subconsciously denied. It's not like that, Dash. You know, I originally wanted to become a doctor who cures people too. I was still a freshman in the medical school of the University of last year, and it was my mom who put me through the university by herself by working as a janitor washing toilets and sweeping the streets. I got a full scholarship, and I thought that as long as I kept working hard and studying hard, I would soon graduate and become a respected doctor with a decent salary to honor my mom. I don't know why God was so unfair to us. Half a year ago, my mom was diagnosed with a tumor, and I have nothing but the massage skills I learned from my mom when I was a kid. I could only take a break from school to go to work at Shui Yanma. I did a proper massage, didn't sell my body, and earned barely enough money for my mom's basic treatment. It was at that time that I met my current boyfriend, who lent me the money to get my mom's tumor removed, and I'm so grateful to him, and I plan to pay him back slowly. I'm not the kind of girl you think I am. And Ran finished these words biting her lips tightly, as if she was waiting for a pronouncement. Her eyes were resigned and stubborn, but she raised her head to look straight at me. Looking at this girl with high self-esteem, it was as if I saw my younger self in her. I know you are not, but what you are entrusted with is not a good person. And Ran's silhouette overlapped with her mother lying in the ICU ward behind her. Her only family member has just passed through the ghost gate, and the future is still uncertain. Is it too cruel for me to tell her the truth at this moment? I smiled and patted her shoulder. I also graduated from a university. You still have to call me senior. It will get better. When your mom is done with her surgery, you can continue to apply for scholarships to finish your studies, and you can become a doctor to continue to take care of your mom. Hurry up and give me some neck pressure. I've had a total of 3 surgeries today. The muscles and bones that had been tensed up for a day were finally relaxed, and I gradually gave up on the confrontation. At this time, Ran was no longer the junior standing against me. Rather, she was an ordinary daughter who stood beside me and confronted death with me. In my mind, I was thinking that maybe this was the chance to gain Ran's trust. Become her mother's attending physician, become her friend, get her in Fu Xian's photos, money transfer records, and so on. When her mother's heart transplant is over, I'll take the evidence and sue for divorce. Whether Ran wants it or not, she'll be the victim, and I'll watch Fu Xian's netting together. Her mother will also continue to be by her side and watch her become a doctor. Fu Xian can continue to be a big hero, and I will do my duty as a doctor. I will put the cost of the surgery on his head when the divorce is finalized. After all, these are our common property. Returning home from work. Fu Xian is not working overtime at all, sleeping like a dead pig in the bedroom. Sure enough, he left his little girlfriend behind because he was afraid to meet me. I took his cell phone to the toilet to check again. Still no unusual information. He should have another cell phone for contacting Ran. I put the phone back and couldn't help but slap him so hard that the scumbag woke up with a confused look on his face. I told him that I had a nightmare and accidentally bumped into him, and then I went to sleep in the guest room by myself. When I woke up, Fu Xian was actually still at home and unprecedentedly made a table of food. This is not to see that my wife is working too hard in the emergency room shift, so I made some delicious food to make up for you. Fu Xian was so attentive that he wanted to come over and kiss me, but I pushed him away on the grounds that he had bad breath. While eating, Fu Xian pretended to ask casually, "Did you have a good day at work last night? You didn't encounter any difficult patients, did you?" It turned out that he didn't care about me, but only came to test whether I had seen his little girlfriend. In fact, Fu Xian used to love to cook, and he said he liked to see me smile happily when I ate his food. He and I were college sweethearts, and when we first graduated and were still living in a rented room, he took me to the most expensive restaurant in the area to propose to me when he got his first month's salary. The blazing look in his eyes made me believe that this man would treat me well. We quickly got a license and then each fought our own way through our careers. We suffered a lot together, but there were no arguments or suspicions. With higher and higher incomes, we moved into a 30,000 square foot house in the third year of our marriage and made up for it with a lavish wedding. I thought that if we had suffered together, of course we could share the good with the bad. As he got busier and busier at work, he hardly cooked anymore, because there were always countless social functions. I was also busy as a gyroscope in the hospital. In the 5th year of our marriage, he wanted to have a child and wanted me to quit my job and stay home as a full-time wife. He promised to give me and the child a good life. I refused. I can fight for a good life myself. I like my job very much. I like to treat patients and save lives, and I want to get a higher title, learn more cutting-edge medical technology, and save more people. A child would only be a stumbling block during my career, and we came to an agreement to have one a few years later. Well, it was more my strong will that advanced the decision. After all, the uterus grows on meat. Then in the past 2 years, he got busier and even came home for dinner less and less. When did the marriage start to crack? Was it when I found that bracelet? Maybe it was a disagreement over the kids. Maybe it was earlier and there were more bracelets I didn't find. There is only a first time and a million times to cheat. Maybe it's just his nature to do so. There was no point in pursuing the reasons for it long ago. The man with the evasive eyes was now made up of lies and deception, and every glance at him made me sick to my stomach. Last night I really encountered a rather difficult case. An old lady was waiting for a heart donor, but her condition suddenly deteriorated and she was sent to the emergency room, and she almost didn't survive. Fu Xin looked calm and collected, just slamming down a big gulp of water. "Since when are you so interested in my work?" I looked at him with amusement. Fu Xin said it was just small talk, but the look on his face was just wonderful. I called Lin Lin and commissioned her to find a private detective to follow Fu Xian for me. Hopefully, he will mess himself up and let the detective find some legitimate evidence of cheating. Unsurprisingly, Fu Xian panicked. Later in the evening, Ran and I spilled the beans about her boyfriend asking her to do a transfer for her mom, saying he knew better doctors. And Ran smiled and told me, "I don't want to listen to him. The best doctor is already standing in front of me." And Ran really seems to think of me as a good friend. She called me sister when she saw me, and when she came to visit her mother every day, she used to slip me fruits and snacks, telling me to remember to eat on time even when I was busy. When I get off work, she always wants to pull me to give me massage, ask me to do the doctor encountered a variety of cases, eyes full of worship and yearning. I sidestepped and asked her how she was getting along with her boyfriend and when she was going out on a date. She only said that Fu Xian was very busy recently and rarely contacted her. After a few days, Ran's mother's condition had stabilized, and she would soon be able to be transferred to a general ward to continue waiting for a heart match. Ran, however, was so lost in thought that she sat at the door of the ward, not even realizing that I had sat down next to her. "Where did your necklace go?" I handed her a cup of hot water. Ran subconsciously touched her empty neck and smiled bitterly. "I sold the necklace and other jewelry to pay the ICU bill. Are you in a tight spot? I thought your boyfriend would lend you money." Originally, he promised to lend me money, and I had written a note. But I haven't been able to contact him in the past few days. Fu Xian must be afraid that the affair will be exposed and wants to give up on Ran straight away. No wonder he told me he was going abroad on a business trip for a few days, so he was just a shrinking violet. The detective who followed Fu Xian didn't get any effective information, and he was so scared that he didn't dare to meet with Ran again. Ran's face was pale, and the hand holding the hot water was shaking slightly. I remembered that a few days ago I happened to meet a friend who teaches at the University of A. I mentioned Ran's name. My friend was very impressed with her, saying that she was a very diligent and studious student with excellent grades, who suddenly took a break from school half a year ago. Elder sister, you haven't eaten yet, right? I also made bento today. Let's eat together. And Ran wiped her face and handed me a steaming lunchbox. During this period of time, Ayn Rand often brought me bento that she made herself, saying that it was cheap and healthy, much better than the hospital's staff canteen. She was repaying me in whatever way she could. Looking at Ayn Rand's disoriented appearance, I was moved with compassion. The hospital has some social welfare fundraising channels. I can arrange for you to meet with them and perhaps secure some subsidies. I'm a member of the Honorary Alumni Association of the University of A. We can also try on-campus fundraising. By then, if the money isn't enough, I'll lend her some of my own. I had already made a plan in my mind. And Ran reminded me of me back then. My parents died young, and I went to the University of A on a full scholarship. Everything I have today was made possible by my own hard work, but I don't have any parents to repay. But Ayn Rand still has a mother. God should let them have a good life chance. If there is no such opportunity, let me create it. It's also a way to atone for Fu Xian's sins. I'll put the blame on him. And Ran was grateful to me, as if she thought of me as a savior. I want to tell Ayn Rand, even without Fu Xian, without a man, you can still live well. As for the evidence of Fu Xian's cheating, let's wait for everything to pass and then let Ayn Rand testify. I believe she will stand with me. After some more time, Ayn Rand's application for the public welfare subsidy came through, which will probably cover 1/3 of her mother's heart transplant costs. The Alumni Association should also be able to raise 1/3 of the money, and I'll just make up the rest. I wanted to ask Ayn Rand out to dinner to tell her the good news. Instead, she beat me to it and asked me to meet her at a bar. By the time I got there from work, there were already quite a few empty glasses on the table. Ayn Rand smiled and gave me a hug, inexplicably exuberant with me. Elder sister, I got in touch with that boyfriend of mine. A message popped up on my cell phone, and the detective Lin Lin helped me told me that Fu Xian was on a plane back to China. Inexplicably, I was a little panicked. Elder sister, did I ever tell you why I don't have a father? And ran as another glass of wine down. I took the glass in her hand over to let her drink slower. She didn't look right today. My mom used to work in a massage parlor and fell in love at first sight with a man and gave birth to me, but the man ran away. My mom didn't want to abort me and gave birth to me. But ever since I started going to school, my classmates told me that my mom worked as a prostitute in a massage parlor, that I was born to a prostitute and a John, and that I would be a prostitute when I grew up. I went home and lost my temper with my mom, abusing her with these most vicious words. But my mom didn't get mad. Instead, she apologized and took me with her, moved to a strange city, got a job as a cleaner, and raised me until now. She could have aborted me and started her life over, but she loved me more than she loved herself. I poured myself a glass of wine as well and clinked glasses with Anjan, listening to her story in silence. As a child who grew up in an orphanage, I could well understand the malice she had suffered. I told you the other day that I didn't sell my body, but I actually didn't. This boyfriend of mine is not a good person. The first time we met was when he brought a client over for fun. The client made a move on me, and he came to my rescue. He asked me out to dinner, but afterward he asked me if I'd sleep with him. I told him I never do that, but he got more interested and asked me to be his girlfriend. He's rich and can easily pay off my hospital bills and keep my mom alive. He also often said he loved me and that I was the only woman. God was so unfair to her. The end of her suffering was a distant dream for her, and also let her meet a scum like Fu Xian to walk on a wrong path. I couldn't help but question Ayn Rand. Do you believe he really loves you? Of course I don't. I'm definitely not his only girlfriend. This guy's no good. But I need the money he lent me to save my mom. Those classmates were right. I grew up to be a prostitute too. I didn't even dare to let my mom know how I got the money. I even thought the money was dirty. I covered her mouth to stop her from continuing to trample on herself. I tried to persuade her to leave Fu Xin and testify on my behalf to get him out of the house, and I would help her make a fresh start. But she broke away and cried and shouted, "I'm pregnant." The words pinned me in place, the ringing in my ears drowning out the music in the bar. It's because of this baby that he messaged me back saying he'd marry me, that he'd pay for all the surgeries for my mom's heart transplant, and that he'd let us have a family. And Ran cried her heart out. I thought about aborting this baby, but I couldn't do it, sister. I don't love him, but I love this child. I don't have a choice, sister. You've helped me a lot. I already owe too many people kindness. Relying on this man to end it all is my best option at the moment. And Ran cried and laughed as she raised the bottle and poured it down. I mumbled in vain, "It's wrong. It's not like that. It's all wrong. You have other options." Anjun didn't listen and had passed out on the table. I got and ran a room at the hotel next to the bar. She threw up several times and finally fell asleep in the middle of the night. Looking at her slightly tender face, I muttered, "I'm Fu Xian's wife. You shouldn't have given birth to this child. This child is a mistake. You don't need to rely on Fu Xian. I can lend you money, and I'll do my best to save your mom. You can start your life over." Will she listen? Hadn't she already made her choice? She wanted this child in her belly. Fu Xian would have coaxed and Ran into giving birth to this child no matter what, and this child would live happily with mom and dad. But I must at least let Ran have a chance to choose again, no matter how she chooses. It's her life. I don't know at what point. I have long considered Ran a true friend. If she knew everything and still chose Fu Xian, I would hate her. Then leaving a scumbag alone with half of her fortune and losing a brainless friend doesn't seem so bad. If she chooses to leave Fu Xian and keep the kid, of course it's fine. I'd be living alone in a large flat with all my possessions and lending money to this self-reliant friend to get through it. But there was no second chance. I woke up and realized that Ran was long gone. At the same time, there was also information that Ran's mother had been transferred to the hospital, and a colleague said that Ran had applied directly to the head of the department. I can no longer contact Ran. It seems she has already made her choice. Xia Penguin, how are you being played by a mistress and a cheating man? Lin Lin counted me down with hatred. I didn't agree with this plan of yours to penetrate the enemy's interior in the first place, and now it's good. My husband is gone, and so are my friends. This Ran was never qualified to be your friend in the first place. She's just a green tea mistress. Now you can only get a divorce with half of your property, not including the money your husband spent on the mistress. I silently poured beer into my mouth, wanting to get drunk quickly so I don't have to listen to her lecture. My cell phone suddenly received a message. Express Hotel Room 302. You can call the police to report Fu Xian prostitution. It was actually Ran who sent it over. I was confused and handed it to Lin Lin, who said incredulously, "She's helping you get evidence." The message was accompanied by documents, a list of transfers Fu Xian had given Ran, screenshots of chat records, group photos, and some other evidence that could be used as evidence of marital infidelity. Lin Lin immediately called the police. The police brought Fu Xian and Ran back from the hotel to the police station to make a statement. In order not to leave a record of prostitution, Fu Xian admitted on the statement that it was an extramarital affair. Lin Lin got the police report back as evidence and said excitedly, well, now the big flat is all yours." All that was left in my mind was doubt, and I wanted to find Ran to ask what happened, but she left at some point. Dialed Ran's number. This time someone finally answered. Only the other side of the phone stayed silent. "Did you find out about my relationship with Fu Xian?" After waiting for a long time, a very small response came from Ran on the other end of the phone. Why did you help me? It's me who has wronged you, sister. Didn't you choose a wonderful family? After all she had done, I still hated her for ruining my life. Fushin was never the one who could give me a family. I don't have one anymore. My mom left without waiting for a heart transplant. More sarcastic words sank in. There was no way to say them again. I'll get rid of the baby. Sister, you're right. This baby is a mistake. So you heard what I said. And Rand's voice on the other side of the phone was tinged with sobs. I'm sorry, senior sister. I'm really ashamed. I chose to escape. There's no way I can face you again. I later realized that Fu Xian has a wife. I overheard the chat records between him and his friends. He complained that his wife is a strong woman and refused to give him a child. I wanted to break up with him after I realized he was married. I didn't want to break up other people's families, but I found out I was having his baby. I put that bracelet in his pocket on purpose. I wanted to be found by his wife. I thought he could marry me and give me more money to save my mom so that the baby in my tummy could have a father and not have to lift his head like I did when I was a child. I thought it was the right thing to do at one stroke. It's just that the only thing I'm sorry for is Fushin's wife. I'm sorry, sister, really I'm sorry. I didn't know the one I hurt was you. I took a deep breath and said coldly, if it wasn't me, it was some other innocent woman as Fu Xian's wife, then you can wantonly be an accomplice to destroying someone else's family? I know I'm wrong, sister. I was wrong from the beginning. Maybe it was because I did too many wrong things that God punished me and took away my mom's life. If I hadn't listened to Fu Xian and transferred mom to the hospital, maybe sister could have saved her. I was wrong about all of this. I won't keep this child. Just thinking about it reminds me of how good elder sister was to me. It shouldn't have been born into this world as a result of a mistake. I'll put an end to it all. And Rand spoke softly. Elder sister, I owe you more than I can repay. I'm sorry, thank you. She revealed that she was having second thoughts about her life. I panicked and shouted, wait a minute, while quickly saying, how can I not pay it back? It's $364,523.07. And Rand was silent for a few seconds. What, you're not going to pay it back? Now I'm your debtor. I saved up all this money by performing an unknown number of surgeries. Is this how you repay your senior sister? No, sister. Did I tell you I'm an orphan? Don't look at me working for so many years. In fact, I'm very poor. It's not easy to save some money. I'll let that scum borrowed it to you. Almost have no money to eat. And Rand was a little anxious, stammered, I'm sorry, I'll pay you back. I'll go to work and pay you back. Is it worth giving up your life for a man? Is this what your mom wants to see? The past is history. Tomorrow is hope. You know how much your mom wants to see you in a white coat. And Rand cried harder. Send me the address and time for the abortion tomorrow. Don't worry, senior sister. I'll send you the operation order when it's over. I really won't keep this child. I don't mean that. You have to bring a guardian for the anesthesia surgery. Do you have one? And Rand asked somewhat cautiously, Senior sister, don't you hate me? Still kinda hate it, but more afraid of you running away. And Rand hung up the phone. I was so anxious that I was planning to call the police when I received a message from her. She sent me the address and time of the hospital where I'll make an appointment for an abortion tomorrow, as well as a fingerprinted IOU, accurate to the last decimal point, with the lender's name written as me. I and Fu Xian's divorce went smoothly. The evidence of marital infidelity is conclusive, coupled with an Rand threatened him not to give up the property to testify that he is a prostitute. Fu Xian finally net out of the house. One day when I was alone in the empty large flat drinking red wine, I accidentally saw a hot search. Fu Xian's company entrance, there are a few folk holding a huge banner that reads, XX executive Fu Mao cheated on his wife in marriage and was worse than a pig and a dog. Hot Search also came with a 10,000-word PDF about what happened. There are high-definition pictures of Fu Xian's front. Someone below left a message. This man is our company's executives. Has been in the process of dismissal. Really deserved. Really damned, suggests that cannot control the lower half of the male are sent to castration. I'm sending a wreath to his company. This is the 5th order I've received today. His resume has been circulated in the recruitment group, and it is estimated that no company will dare to recruit him for a long time. Oh, I forwarded the news to Anrandat. The writing is good for all the trouble, but it's better to put more effort into your studies. Otherwise, when will you be able to pay back the money you owe me? And Ran replied, Okay, sister. Prequel to White Dragon Horse. Can a dragon and a mortal be blessed in love?